This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages right here on Jam on Toast. This is the watch spot. I am Kamurai. I was an idiot and I'm wearing a green shirt today, so I'm not turning on the green screen. I'm just going to let it float behind me. Eventually, I'll fix the set. I don't need it all the time, but I guess I need to not announce things because I still haven't got my overlay fixed. But welcome to the Jam on Toast watch spot where I talk about things and stuff I've been watching. I do actively feel bad about how little attention YouTube has gotten, but I'm having trouble keeping up with my podcasts and shows, and then everything keeps popping up like, oh, here's a new season of this, here's a new season of that. So I'm trying to keep up with that as well, and things are just falling by the wayside, such as my D&D campaigns and YouTube in general. But I'll be honest, Hulu was like, I don't know what would have happened to me 2 years ago if Hulu was like it is now, because Hulu has come a long way, and now I get no commercials because I can pay for that tier. It's fantastic, totally worth it for me to pay that $10 or whatever it is and get no commercials, because the amount that I watch, I'm saving more than $10 a month in time. So if you add up all the commercial times and you divide it essentially by your, or you compare it to how many hours, like your rate of work, and then compare your hours to that. That's how much you're paying in commercials to watch per month. And then if it's more than $10, go ahead and upgrade. And of course, HBO Now is coming up soon with Game of Thrones. Netflix has wonderful things like Kimmy Schmidt, which I was wrong about. Let me say that up front. That actually is out already. I thought it was next month. It is this month, and it is. I've already watched it, so I'll talk about that towards the end. So let's go ahead and jump right into this, because I'm running on negative time. This list looks amazingly small. I've changed up my format. I'm on a spreadsheet now. I did finish up with Idiot Sitter. I think that's all I need to say about that. There's not a lot going on with that show. It's these two inept people that are stuck with each other and hilarity. Okay, so Two Broke Girls. Max's ex from Hollywood shows up in New York, even though he doesn't want to go bi-coastal. So he's a fucking mess, and he's essentially playing with her emotions at this point, because it's like, oh, we're not gonna, oh, now we're gonna. So like, it's from Max's perspective, he is almost manipulating her in a very unhealthy way, where he's maintaining control of the relationship because he's determining when they're on and when they're off. And I get they're both pretty, but Kat Dennings. Let's see. They go shopping for a dessert bar locale. Like, so they're running around with Han's realtor friend, who, amazingly enough, is super into Han, and Han is hesitant because she wants to remain a virgin but still have sex. So anal jokes, which made me very happy that they tackled such a risque topic so directly, surprisingly. Even though I don't think they ever say anal in the show, but like they heavily imply it, and the FCC hasn't caught up at this point. So yay. Then of course Sophie's pregnant. That actress is amazing. The character's starting to wear on me finally. Over in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, they're reconciling relationships. Greg starts being a douche because he gets in his own head about how serious this is getting, and that Rebecca couldn't possibly still want him. How he is, because why would Rebecca want him? She's gonna want the Greg that she wanted when she first wanted him, but that's not the same Rebecca. So why would that new Rebecca want what old Rebecca wanted? So Greg's an idiot, and Valencia's a bitch, and I think she dumps Josh because she thinks she has all the power in the relationship. She's like, I'm the pretty one, I'm the patient one, you're the fuck up, goodbye. So somehow that gets Josh to run to Rebecca, and of course, we're going to get one last leg of horrible fuckery. And if a bomb doesn't drop on this town, I'm not sure how they're going to end this season. Or she's going to end this season, because Rachel Bloom. Over Last Man on Earth, we ended with Phil's brother shaving half his face and head and body. Yeah. And so the prank war's getting out of hand, like, as Phil's waking up on cliffs and shit. It's really kind of overly crazy. So his brother's basically a sociopath, but Phil starts fighting back a little bit harder, and then they finally call a ceasefire. But I can't remember what the conditions are. But I think it's Todd ends up laying down the law, and it's interesting and funny to see them really like play on these non-stereotypical Soma and character types. Where Todd in the normal world would have been a very timid, like, oh, I'm just happy that I get to be included type of guy. And that's not me saying that. That's general America. Todd seems like an okay guy. You just if you picture sex symbol, it's not Todd that comes to mind, and typically, it's just the fact of it. Um, but he's banging Gail, and he's banging I can't remember Melissa, and he starts trying to help Erica, and he starts trying to help the other girl, Carol, and he's very much kind of set, like, put on the crown. Really, it's like, okay, so I'm the smart, capable one out of all of you, so this is how it's gonna go, and he starts laying it down. It's really cool to see that, because last time we had that, became a very unhappy place because it was really Phil and Phil contending, um, regardless of the reality of it. And now that Todd's king, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I I almost kind of wish that we had like a lesbian or a gay guy or like transgender, someone like particular in the mix to really like offset everything. Because you can't do that without like having a whole episode about it, if not a whole season. And maybe that's not what it was. I still kind of want like my end of the world scenario where it's like it's a guy, a girl, and transgender MF. Um, and by all means, put Bailey J in there. But like where it's a literal love triangle. It's like um, the transgender girl likes him. He likes the cis chick, but the cis chick likes the transgender. Um, I think that would be a great show, but I don't know if you could do it as a half-hour sitcom because it's the end of the world. That kind of has to be the focus. So it goes into an hour-long drama that happens to be funny, and God, someone make that fucking show. Over on New Girl, I don't know what I lost some notes here. Apparently, Jess goes after Sam, who put out a restraining order on her, and I think that story resolves by her going through a car wash or something, and I have no idea why they end up together. Spoilers if you like, but so bizarre. I can't remember what the hell else happened on that show. But I think, well, it can't be the finale, but two more episodes came out. I don't know why. Maybe they made up for lost time or something. Um, I forgot to mention this is basically going up till Wednesday, so the 20th. Um, so she's trying to buy a car, and she realizes that the guy's sexist and is going to try to rip her off, just because she's a woman, which I'm all about, like that being a contention where she gets to fight and overcome. But she tries to tag Nick in to pretend to be her husband, so that he can be the man that the idiot wants, so that she can get her the price that she wants. Um, and then Nick and Sam are fighting because they hate each other. So, in a brilliant move, Jess puts them all in the car and drives like a crazy woman, and gets exactly what she wants out of everyone through coercion. Oh, it's so funny. And at the same time, Winston finds his prank goddess. Like, it's this hot girl that he's super into, and she does pranks like he does, super over the top and wrong. Oh my gosh. But I love it. Um, and then the final episode, or not the final episode of the season, but the final one that I've watched. Um, after Nick and Sam find a middle ground, they're actually growing on each other and they're getting used to everything. And then finally, Jess ruins it all by having a sex dream about Nick. And then that becomes a whole thing with the cherry on the top being Jess with a child's football helmet stuck on. Oh, that was beautiful. Um, Cooper Bird's Guide to Surviving Life. I'd call this a throwaway episode. Cooper finds out his parents aren't he thought they were. Apparently, they party just like he does, but they try to hide it from each other because they're adults. Adults in quotes, because they're like 50, 60. I don't know. Like, there's supposed to be an idea of maturity there, but like, you can have fun and not be immature. Like, I hate the concept that adults have to be super boring and all business all the time. It's not how life works. It's sad that we had like a precedent for that. Over on the Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Amy makes headway in prison. Hulk calls in an FBI friend, and then on the next episode that I watched of this, I have no idea when this is gonna stop being a thing like that. But it turns out Bob's a dirty dog. He's the one working with Figgis, or whatever the gangster's name is, fucker. And then they have to get out of the hospital and dodge gangsters, and then get information out of them. So they hide out at Rosa's, and apparently every time she has somebody over, she like burns the place to the ground and moves. Uh, which is funnier than anything in the rest of the show. Modern Family. Claire tries to hide a dog from Phil. Oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing in the world. It's very much a moral about honesty, especially in important relationships like marriage and families. And just, it's not worth your time to lie and put effort into this. Just be like, oh, we found this dog. We're going to keep him until we can get rid of him properly, because we're not just going to throw him back outside. And honestly, if you have that conversation and the other person isn't just, of course, then you're got bigger problems than the dog, and the dog stays because you're going to deal with those once he's gone. Oh yeah, the band thing. They've always got like 3 or 4 stories going on with this because they got such a big cast. And oh my gosh, Cameron, for whatever reason, is missing his religious side. He's missing his music side, and these fucking kids show up to rent their room, their spare room, and Mitchell hates it. And so, despite all this pushback, Mitchell slowly gets into it, and Cam gets to be a drummer for a day. And it turns out they're anti-gay. So, fuck stupid religion. That's the lesson there, kids. And it was kind of funny, like, Manny was trying to watch a kid's show with his brother, and his brother hates it because Manny doesn't understand the show, so he asks too many questions. So, like, this is a very clever thing about not wanting to, or trying to watch him when Manny's not around. And the juxtaposition is, of course, that normally kids ask lots of stupid questions because they don't understand whatever's going on. It's very funny to me to see that. And the kid they've gotten to play Joe, though he grew up awfully fast, is actually doing really well. Last Man Standing. The whole thing that I can remember is that Mike and Vanessa end up in counseling because Kyle and Mandy want to get married, which apparently is very important at their church, the same church that Vanessa and Mike got married at. So it's all a thing, and I don't get it. I don't get the appeal of that. Each thing should be unique representation of what the couple wants, not the fucking families. It's ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, Kyle and Mandy are already married. They don't need paperwork or anything like that. Marriage should not have to be this, like, joint venture capitalism adventure. Over in the middle, Sue has an annoying boyfriend, so her and her mom have it out. Axel doesn't want to play football, so he and his dad have it out, and I have no idea what happened to Brick in this episode whatsoever. Like, it's really funny. Like, when you watch enough things, and you have these, like, family shows that have these big casts, and it's really interesting. Don't get me wrong, those are some of my favorite shows. But, oh my god, it's hard to keep track of all the plot lines, especially when they don't do anything. It's about the experience, and you can boil it down to, like, a lesson. It's like modern day fables, really, really, when it comes down to it. Over on Crowded, Mike is sick. So Betty White, I think it's Betty White. Maybe I'm wrong. Is that her? I. Oh God, I don't know. That is worth looking up though. So an older lady patient of uh, Mike's wife, Martina. That's right. Uh, ends up like taking care of him because Martina's dealing with everything else. Include the other crazy patient who's hanging out with the slutty daughter. So the slutty daughter makes her over. I wish I remembered her name. I really do. It'd be nice if I was inaccurate in calling her that. And then of course Shay, the hot one. Okay, the one I like. Um, the smart one. There we go. I was gonna say responsible, and it's like, she finds the guy she likes at work or internship or whatever the hell it is. Wow, these titles are not. Wow, these titles are not descriptive enough. What the hell? Given. Okay, so what I'm looking at, so there's like the Fixer, Given a Fly, Unemployable. This is over on IMDb. Um, So the Fixer is what I'm looking at. There's two other episodes labeled the 17th and the 24th, so they could be out. We just need to fix this shit. Everything needs to come out at the same time on all platforms. Fuck you guys. Um, so Patrick Warburton is his mother. Shay, boyfriend. Stella. Stella, that's the slutty one's name. Patient Makeover. Stacy Teach and Carly Burke also star. So, uh, the older lady is one of those. She's not Betty White, but that's who she reminded me of. No, it was Betty White. What? How did Betty White not headline that? Oh, fuck you, Betty White. You're awesome. Not that you'll ever watch this, but I honestly think Betty White is probably one of the bigger things. Patrick Warburton may be the only other name that's even comparable there. In overall careers, Betty White probably wins. Personally, I do like Patrick Warburton quite a bit. So let's see. Oh no, okay. There were two episodes for this. Mike and Bob accidentally become traffic reporters when the other guy like has a hangover or something, uh, which I thought was funny. And then Martina tries to find Mike's mom with the girls, and the lady from the older lady from Kimmy Schmidt plays the crazy cat lady on there. I feel like she's getting typecast, and I feel bad for her because she's a decent actress. I think she might have that voice, and maybe she can't do much about it. I don't know. I don't know what you do about that, Mike. I probably have the same problem, but over at Mom, Alan gets a second chance with Bonnie. And then like there's a lot of investigation shit saying that he probably doesn't deserve it, but like there's the hope that he's a different guy now. Um, and to the point where like they even go try to take it slow, and we're seeing a whole new side of Bonnie that of course doesn't last. Over on Bob's Burgers, Tina getting the lead in the anti-mono musical makes her the anti-Kiss mascot, which, if you understand Tina at all, is not what she wants in life. And I relate to Tina quite a bit for whatever one reason or another. I'm somewhere between Tina and Luis. I'm not Jean. I really don't think I am. Danny Danger can keep that all to herself. But I'm just always amazed at that show, like how it's put together. And eventually, I need to go back and like binge a season and just like figure out what the formula is, because it's good every time. Over in Elementary, they come across a fake murder, or real murder that was set up to look like a fake murder that went wrong, or they were faking a murder when they really got murdered. I guess that's what it was. It's really confusing, but very interesting. They're really reaching for new angles for how to deal with the show and present it in new ways, and we've. Because I guess the idea that Sherlock Holmes is that smart is just kind of old hat at this point, maybe. but they're unwilling to give up the show, and I don't want them to. I like um, Lucy Liu. Like they could actually go the Sherlock Holmes route and kill him off for a season or whatever, and have her be the new Sherlock, and it would be interesting. But I don't know how that would go over overall. Um, oh, but the other important plot line is that Moreland is implementing uh, methodologies to track down the mole himself because he doesn't believe. But that shows us that he doesn't believe Watson, and also that Watson's not going to be able to use her mole for very much longer, if at all. Over in Castle, Haley has an in on a theft turn murder, like so she's pulling black ops for MI6 type shit. And then one of her buddies gets killed, and they try to track it down. There was something else. Oh yeah, the other thing is that there is nothing else going on. We are not seeing anything for the lock set, but I've heard rumors that Beckett and the lady coroner are not going to be in the next season. And I was shocked there was going to be another season, because the only thing they've got left that would ever call for that is the lock set. And if Castle and Beckett aren't together on that, then I don't understand what's going to happen. And unless Beckett's dead, she's not going to stop going after Lockset. So unless they can walk happily into the sunset and keep solving murders, fuck it. Just let it. I mean, like, kill Beckett and have a whole new castle. Shit. There's really no other way to go about it. I'm sorry. I'd rather have them walk into the sunset personally. Over on Grimm, it was interesting to see that Vesson ranged for the whole world, and they all end up in fucking Portland. But there's a Japanese Guardian Vesson that waited way too long, apparently, to get revenge for the death of someone. It's very interesting how everything's built, because they layer mysteries very well in the show. Especially because they have these ridiculous plots that involve these Vessons that nobody knows about, and you can't like find clues. You have to have witness accounts. The more exciting thing is that who's it? The couple from the spy shop over here. Eve confront Adeline. Of course, we know that Adeline is turned Hexenbeast again. She went back to get her old job at her old firm, which apparently, and I didn't know this before, depended on her being a Hexenbeast. I don't know why yet, because that'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure they're going to be involved with Black Claw by the end of it. But she kind of trying to keep everything on the hush. Nick knows that she's keeping it on the hush, which is not good. So we're going to have this really huge contention coming up. And with all the things going on with Renard and Blackclaw, and him getting his and Adeline's daughter back, it seems very clear that Adeline is actually going to take Kelly and go over the Black's Claw side with her children and Renard, because it's the only way that she's going to have both her children and be safe. Because she's of course going to think that Black Claw is going to win. And I don't know how she's going to resolve that, or if she's going to still have feelings for Nick at all at this point. Because maybe she just is going to be happy that she was able to use him. Oi. Over on Lucifer, so funny. Watch a whole episode where he's just scared of Decker because he doesn't know what's happening, and he's actually afraid of being mortal and being killed. And it's hilarious to me that like we've got such an attitude shift with him, especially now that he knows for a fact that it's her. And he has a fight with Metadil or whatever his name is, which I thought was interesting, seeing them fight. And apparently, Holy. That the fact that they're both holy, I think, means that they can harm each other. Though I think it's illegal for them to kill each other. So, like, Metadil's obviously fucked it up so badly at this point that, Lucifer's never gonna go back by anything that he causes. But we really got to see what's happening with this, and I really am betting that Oh yeah, because he confronted Decker at one point that like that he thought she was in on it, but um, she doesn't know shit. I'm really thinking that she's either a descendant of Christ or she is a descendant of an angel somehow, if that's a thing in this world, or she's a sleeper angel, and that she emanates vulnerability for him. Like there's a couple options, but I'm really waiting to see kind of what narrows it down because it'll be super interesting to find out. I just like this world that they're in. Over on Supergirl, Martian Manhunter and Supergirl go after Myriad. There's lots and lots of touchy feelings, and of course they win because it doesn't matter that there's 20 other superpowered enemies. They of course go one-on-one and win, and then everything's nice because Supergirl can pick up an array of buildings and spaceships essentially and fly it out into the sun. we I like the show, but we're heavily leaning towards things that I have a problem with Superman with, and it just comes down to him being boring. Over in DC Legends of Tomorrow, we have a cowboy episode, and given my a rewatch of the beginning of Firefly, which we probably need to finish eventually. We'll get to it. Now I really want to. And then Infinite Rail Riders Infinite is basically the train job from Firefly, the board game. I'm looking forward to getting that one in. Okay, so the point is they spend all this time trying to be very careful. They run into somebody who actually recognizes them as time travelers, and then they take on this gang of thugs or whatever. And of course, time hunters roll in, not giving a shit about anything because they're time hunters, and why would they have to preserve the past? They just have to worry about killing the people that are fucking it up. So laser fight in the Old West, and everyone's gonna think they had acid. And they find out like the wolf or the chinchilla or whatever the fuck it is going after them, and she's gonna go after them when they're children, and not like in the current iteration. So who knows? Who knows if they're gonna be able to do that? But that makes an interesting few episodes where they try to go back and intercept this assassin at each of these points. The fun bit, because it's time travel, is that we don't know which points go in which order, so stopping her at one point definitely does not necessarily stop her at the others. But we're just gonna have to see how Paradox is resolved, because in theory, the fact that she started going after him means that she's already either succeeded or failed, regardless of what they do. So it's a whole thing. Over Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we get some backstory on Malik. It's very tragic. The team captures and interrogates the telekinetic. The telekinetic gets out and crashes the whole ship, and then takes them all prisoner, which I thought was interesting. And for whatever reason, I don't have the one that I watched the other night on here, but that one, oh my god, that was fucking interesting, because after they infiltrated and they grabbed Malik and they got, oh no, yeah, they infiltrated, they got Malik, and they got the fuck out of the Hydra base and took off with their plane. They spent the whole episode, like, accusing each other of shit, because they found out, like, that Hive will infect, and that's Ward's nickname or whatever is Hive. Not Ward's nickname, rather. So they found out that it'll infect Inhumans, and there's a parasite that'll actually embed and cause them to network, essentially, or brain control. And, oh my gosh, did they pull that off well? I don't even want to spoil it. So you won't see it coming, but it's amazing by the end of it. And so I can't wait to see what they do next episode, really. Be interesting to see if they're still on their feet. I apparently did not take notes for Once Upon a Time, so I'm willing to go out to the place and see what's going on there. But over on Stitchers, Camille finally gets Linus's stuff all back from her brother, so it's good. The victim being brain damaged, I think, is super interesting. The way they set it up, what was it like? Once upon a time. The way they set it up, so like she essentially is going through two lives because he's really a different person after the brain damage. And it's very clear from early on that that's what's happening, but they don't say it like that. They say like, "Oh, he died twice." No, he didn't fucking die twice. He went through a very traumatic event which changed his behavior. It's very much what happened. So with all that going on, like super interesting, and we got to nanobots, and apparently like he was working on nanobots, and they have nanobots that they use for the stitching process. So we got to see a gray goo scenario prevented, plus actual nanobot attack, which they threw in the bullshit of her being genetically coded against the nanobots, which is horseshit. Plus, even if you did, uh, unless they're programmed so perfectly, they're going to eat the hydrocarbon that makes up living things or organic tissue. And that was the coding error before, is that it's just going to target carbon, which is everything. Um, and the idea of hydrocarbon being what you target for for that is equally scary, no doubt. It's not going to be what is good for anybody. So fuck all of that. We're all gonna die in gray goo from nanobots because they're gonna be misused. Um, no, have it target very complicated and specific keyed things and get rid of it, or have it be controlled. And if it's ever out of contact, it shuts down, or it returns. I guess that would be the better way to do it. Um, so on the following episode, they did a sneaky stitch. They snuck in the middle of the night. Of course, Allie or whatever her name gets alerted. Um, how do I say? So like they start stitching into. Is it a woman? Yes, they start stitching into her like overnight, like in secret, because they were told not to, and apparently with good reason. But how did they know the reason is the question, because this one's all about brainwashing as well, but it's through like tapes, audio induced sneaky brain control. Like, here's your mission. This is what you want to do. You really want to do it. It's the only way to do whatever. So because she stitched someone who is vulnerable to brainwashing, she became vulnerable, and they had to hunt her. Which hunting Kristen, I thought was going to be a lot harder. And I got to see her be badass, so that was fun. I like it. Kirsten beats people up. It's pretty nice. I want to see more of that. But Camille's getting more punchy. So I'm hoping that we're going to see stuff like that. Funny enough, she's getting punchy with Liam, who's back into the mix, and so they're offering Camille as bait for Liam in this weird double cross, and then Camille can't tell Linus. So I'm kind of getting my CIA show back, and I do miss Piper Perabo just a little bit. What was that show called? It was a pretty good show, but it was all about her being a CIA agent, and it was sneaky this, sneaky that, and a little bullshitty, and like I don't necessarily agree with having the CIA, but intelligence agencies just are not my jam. Over on Once Upon a Time, it was the episode where Ruby is trying to get help for Dorothy, essentially. So we're going on this back and forth with Oz, and they're trying to get people out of the underworld if they can, just for safety's sake, so that they can make they can prep and make for a final push against Hades. And Hades isn't happy about anything. Zelena is super wishy-washy about things, but she's ultimately trying to side with Hades and with her daughter, and it's really a lot going on to no current end, and I can't see the setups, and I can't remember the thing. I just remember that it was awesome that Ruby finally came out, essentially, because I think I called that early on, and I thought her and Mulan were gonna get it on, but it turns out like she's in love with Dorothy, and maybe that breaks Mulan's heart. I don't know. Mulan's such a weird loner in this show that who knows? All right. Over on the catch, the princess makes some moves before she leaves. Her brother tries to stop her, but she does some sneaky shit behind her back. I'm kind of worried for her, to be honest. Like, once she goes back to that other country, like, who knows if we'll ever see from her again. And it doesn't have to kill her or beat her. You like, keep her locked in a room for the rest of her life. Because that's how it works over there. Um, and he could essentially turn her into a martyr for her cause as well. So there is that going on. But Thorn gets his money because whatever. So theoretically, his group might be able to pay off their debts and get away with it. But the assassin's actually giving them an extension because she likes the woman. I'm not saying that's typical or anything. I'm saying that that's how they played it, and that's interesting because who knows what's what in this fucked up little world of theirs. But Thorn and Alice have like a standoff. She's sided with the Interpol agent for quite some time here, and then she faces off with him, and they reconcile like on a mic and everything. It's fucking weird. And then he rushes before he's supposed to because she changed, or he wasn't following the idea they planned because she showed him the mic. Where it really just looks like she's showing her tits, which were lovely, fine, but she apparently really doesn't like the Interpol agent and likes the guy that fucked her over this much. So I have no idea where the rest of the season's gonna go because the whole thing was trying to get back at him and take him down, and she lets him fucking go. And we don't have the princess anymore. And the Interpol agent is not interesting. The next most interesting character is probably the lawyer hacker at the firm, and so maybe we normalize a little bit, and we have the show that we should have started with this being the whole climactic end. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with this. The only thing that makes sense is to fuck up the villain side of it enough, and then have Thorn come back to the security agency for help to get away from the other people. Um, and who knows how well that'll go because they're world class con artists and possibly assassins at this point. Really, if we're being honest. So the catches is very interesting. I only have two lines of notes for the show that isn't unlike any other show out there, The 100. It really comes down to two things on this last episode, because I don't think we dealt with the Grounder Alliance at all. I think this was all the Arcadians, all Sky Crew, if you will. Allie uses Raven to hurt fucking everyone because they're trying to save Raven and get her cured so that they can use Raven to fight back and try to save everyone else. And after the dude killing his mom and everything, everyone's gonna be fucked when this is all over. Everyone's gonna be mental disaster, psychological dramatic, if you will. Oh man, but they end up saving Raven and they find the cure, and it's all because Clark knows to cut the shit out of their spine because that's where it rests apparently. Um, and she still has the second AI that Allie wants, and they're actively running from the Arcadians, who I'm gonna call them the Citizens of Light. That's really what it is. But like Allie totally was puppeteering Raven. Like she was like, "Can't have you telling them shit. You got to kill yourself." And like Raven tried to beat her head in. Like it's the craziness that is happening on that show. It's really insane. Like that. Like we have these characters and they're in these positions, and it's like this person's dispensable and this person we're gonna lose. I think we're gonna lose quite a few more people by the end of the season. Um, and oh, just it's gonna be a hot mess. But hopefully we get a proper commander in place, and this goes in some fashion of an upward trend. Sky Crew's gotta like really either kick some ass to establish themselves, or get roped in with something else. I think if Sky Crew becomes like part of the headquarters for the Alliance, then like that may be the way they're protected. So they're in servitude of the other clans essentially, because they're not big enough to sustain themselves. Plus, they're so split now that they're citizens of life, because they're gonna have like these dozen of survivors come back to the grounders and be like, kill all of them, or they're coming to kill you, and then the grounders are gonna go try to fight them. It's insanity. And I didn't take notes for these two, but I did realize that I didn't talk about Fuller House. Fuller House is supposed to be the continuation of Full House after so many years. Really, like 10, 20 years or whatever it was. It's amazing they could get everyone that they did back, except for Mary Kate and Ashley, who don't have the same nostalgia or really impact from the beginning of the thing. So they do all the jokes that they would do with her without them there, which totally makes sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to bring them in and waste everyone's time, especially when I thought it was going to be all of them like doing the show again, and it's not. They came in for the first episode. They trickle in and out, but it's really the girls, Steph and DJ, and then Kimmy moves in because why the fuck not? Um, the timing of everything just works out that way, I guess. Taking care of DJ's kids, uh, because DJ's trying to do the single mom thing, and she struggles even with Steph and Kimmy around. Kimmy's trying to do the single mom thing because she's recently divorced, and so she's dealing with that whole situation. DJ, I think, is ready to start dating again after her husband being dead because DJ's a widower just like her dad was. So she's very much taking the same formula and adding elements in. And what's interesting is like that Kimmy or Gibbler is Aunt Kimmy now. Um, we've got this cousin factor going in with Ramona, I think that's her name, Kimmy's daughter. It's super interesting to see them like tweak this, but they had such a wonderful thing there. If nothing else, find the clip where it's a side by side thing of singing "Meet the Flintstones," the theme to the Flintstones, to the baby to calm it down. Now, in of course, in the older version, it's Ashley Kate or Mary or whatever the fuck, Mary Kate or Ashley or whatever their names were. But it shows the houses next to each other. It's amazing how close they got the sets. It could be legitimately modernized to look how it is. So, just amazing that they did that show. And I didn't know I wanted it until I saw it, and I was like, oh yes, this is exactly what I've been missing from all my shows, is letting shows evolve and not sticking to the exact same thing season after season. It's my problem with a lot of American shows that deal with like high schoolers or middle schoolers. It's like, no, let's watch them grow up together, and let's go to the next grade and go on from there. Um, Instead, like they want to do everything just to keep it on there. Like Glee ruined itself by trying to focus on the main cast season after season after season after season, when like it eventually became time to let them go and focus on the next generation to keep the focus on the Glee Club. And then they finally caught themselves and went back to it, so you essentially had the two different shows going at the same time, but they were on the same show and they needed to be separated. I would have very much liked to see Glee continue focusing on the next generation upcoming, and then you can see like the Glee originals, or Glee the original season, or Glee the original cast, or the original grade, the original Glee Club, whatever you want to call it. Not that there was like really a lot of them still in play. It really came down to like 4 or 5 of them that would actually rotate in and out of the show, and Leah Michelle, of course, being like the most predominant. And I like how they kept weaving them back in at the same time. It's like we don't need, like, it would have been better if they were like Mercedes, where they were gone and then they came back in. Not that we were following them around college and then we came back to the high school with them. So they missed some marks there. They need to take some notes from Degrassi and Skins. Yeah, but Fuller House is great. Sorry, started talking about something else there. Totally check it out. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. I highly recommend it. What is also on Netflix is season 2 of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That girl is not only beautiful, but hilarious and a talented actress. And I'm happy to say I liked her before she was famous for Kimmy Schmidt. If you can find her blowjob video, it's not a porno, it's a comedy skit where it's her and her boyfriend. It's time to get a little intimate. And trying to make him happy, she tries to make it very dry for him. And it's just a fun back and forth reaction video. That very much probably was born of improv. So I'm very happy that I ever saw that, and now that I compare it to her now, it's great. Because let's just be honest, that's gotta hurt her face to smile like she does all the time. Because she's just got this beautiful fucking fake looking smile, and then when she gets grumpy face, like that's where I really think she's cute because it looks more authentic than like all the time. Like this is hard enough for me to do right now, and if I'm just like this all the time, but she's supposed to be mentally distressed. So not only has like she has this her life stolen from her for so long, she's just trekking on trying to catch up with things. 'Cause it's really a lot of what we got out of the first, but we start at least heavily like it's going to be a new day. Like Titus, you and I are going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to make our lives better. And they continue on with that. And then we see the mole people come back in. We see Dong come back in. And they continue plots out with them. And, like, it's really, it might be meaningless drivel. It may not have, like, a hot, overarching storyline. But it's a good time. And my favorite part of that the entire season is they go to Disneyland or whatever, and people are trying to take pictures with Kimmy because she looks like a cartoon character or a Disney character of some kind, and I didn't get it. Like, I don't know who she was supposed to look like, but I thought it was just because she's so happy that, like, kids are or like people are naturally drawn to her, and she's like, I'm just a person. She's just sitting there taking pictures with people. I I love that moment so much. It's so great. But yeah, definitely check that out as well. Um, there are other good things on Netflix, it looks like. I just don't know what time will allow me here coming up. I may have to downgrade this or even put it on pause altogether. As much as things as I want to go, and I didn't put any of the Netflix stuff on my future watch list. Oh well. Oh well. You know what? Those can go on this other tab. I like spreadsheets. They're fun. But I'm not going to waste your time. As much as I like watching movies and things and stuff, I've caught myself delayed. Great, it's frozen. Delayed throughout the week, and I don't know when I can get on a regular schedule or not, or if it's possible or what. But I'm gonna try to maintain. If I do, I do. If I don't, I'm sorry. But life gets in the way. And we'll be together again one day. One day, not far from now. But until you see me next time, I am Kamurai. Have a nice day. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go to click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.